Cosmic Fury is going to be our first official red female ranger who's going to be throughout the whole season. But Power Rangers has pushed for females in power for a long time. We've had Delphine, Jen, and Taylor all been leaders in their teams at some point. The Boom Comics had Grace Sterling being the first red Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, and the first official all original team of Power Rangers that they made was for SPD, the A Squad, and they made Charlie the leader as the Red Ranger. But the first character who was more of a novelty side character like Charlie was Kimberly Crossman playing Lauren in Power Rangers Samurai. The character had a very short stint but had a very large impact, and I think that's due to the fact that Lauren had lots of potential in her storyline, and there's a lot of backstory about this seemingly simple character but yet very, very complex. Before Cosmic Fury comes out, I want to take the time to talk about the first official red female ranger who was actually a good person. The first thing that really sticks out is how strong of a fighter Lauren truly is. She is arguably one of the strongest, if not the strongest Power Ranger of all time as far as her training goes. While eating a meal together, the other Rangers start asking her questions like, what do you do for fun? What do you go out and do? And she continuously answers training.
Wow, you must have trained day and night. It's not too far from the truth.
Lauren, you say you train day and night.
That's my life. I practice the ceiling power, I exercise, I train.
So what do you do for fun?
I train. Do you ever go out to eat?
Yeah.
We've had characters like Tommy and Jason who are very devout martial artists and are very, very strong fighters, but they have daily lives. They have to go on and do things like go to school or get a job, become a teacher. But Lauren's sole purpose in life was to work towards this goal of mastering the ceiling power and being a Power Ranger. She didn't have to spend her day going to school or doing a bunch of meaningless stuff, doing sports or anything like that. I shouldn't say sports are meaningless. Someone's going to get mad at me for that. Sorry. What I mean is that she has nothing else in her life that is keeping her from strictly working on these two things. Now, other great martial artists in Power Rangers history is someone like Cam, who grew up in a martial arts school. He's a very strong fighter, but he learned mostly through observation because his dad didn't support him through fighting. Lauren wasn't just supported, she was pretty much forced into it and was isolated. The only other person that could probably even come toe-to-toe with her as far as her martial arts skill is probably RJ, because RJ is one of the strongest fighters of all time, considering he grew up learning from several Pai Shui masters, including his dad. And the only setback I could say for RJ compared to Lauren is that he was also an extremely smart and technological person, making weapons, all sorts of things for the Rangers. And Lauren didn't do any of that. She strictly kept to the ceiling power and her fighting skills. She definitely was a killer on the battlefield when she was morphed, but even when she sparred against Mike, she took him out without even breaking a sweat, and all the other Rangers were pretty intimidated by her and didn't even want to go up against her.
Maybe she needs a training partner.
She's our leader.
Hey, Lauren, do you want to spar? I'm pretty good with the sword.
It'd be an honor.
She's got long legs. Big, beautiful mane.
Wow, you're awesome.
Who's next?
In their first battle, when the Rangers are being led by Lauren as the Red Ranger, the other Rangers all get knocked down, and she has to basically fend for herself because they can't even keep up with her. She also shows a superior ability in operating the Zord, taking down a Nylok with just the Lion Zord, no help from the other Rangers. And when she's in the Megazord, she handles it with ease. You would really think she has been doing this for years and years, considering she has so much confidence and she keeps her cool and she operates that Zord really well. Now, her strict training does lead to a couple sort of socially awkward moments. Of course, the big joke of the season is how terrible Mia's cooking is. Lauren has never really eaten any good food, so to her, anything with spice, I guess, is good for her, and she's downing that food and loving it when the other Rangers are throwing it away, is trying to sneak it under the table, all those sorts of things. But what I thought was actually more interesting than this moment is the meal before that, where they're all celebrating Lauren getting there. Antonio hands her a burger. It's just a patty on a bun, and she eats it plain. She doesn't even look around for ketchup. She doesn't ask for cheese, nothing. She just takes it and eats it, which shows you, again, she doesn't really eat a lot of great food. She probably eats pretty bland stuff during her training. She trained her whole entire life in isolation, which is really sad. I mean, you kind of gloss over that being a kid's show, but you think about her growing up into her 20s, being someone who's never been around other people. All she did was learn how to fight.
You're all very lucky to have each other. I've never had a good friend.
And I wish they would have shown us a little insight into who her sensei or master was. I think that could have been cool to see what her relationship was with them, because she had to be pretty connected to them. They had to be a pretty strong father figure or mother figure. After all that time being by herself, her brother abandons her as soon as she gets there.
I imagine that, like me, you must have felt very alone.
But I've learned to trust my friends. They've become like brothers and sisters to me, too.
I'm so glad. I hope I can become part of the family now, too.
Lauren, you know we can't be together now.
Instead of fighting by her side or encouraging the other Rangers to fight with her, he just takes off and says, they're too loyal to me, they'll never follow you if I'm here, which I think is a pretty bad, dumb thing. It's so stupid. It makes no sense. You know, whenever someone takes on a new job, typically it's nice to have someone train you or have somebody who can just guide you through the steps. And he should have been there to help her learn, you know, or help the Rangers learn how to deal with her. I don't believe there's ever a point where both of them are morphed at the same time. So I wonder if the reason he says, you're the Red Ranger now, we both know I can't be here, if part of that is because he can't morph when she morphs, and if that is part of it. I don't know if the samurai powers have a different sort of connection to the morphing grid since they're passed down through ancestors. Maybe that's part of it. They never really say for sure whether or not they can both morph at the same time, or if that's going to weaken one of them if they do it. And even then, the whole entire team stays very loyal to Jade, and they don't even seem to want to follow her.
It was Jaden who brought us together. Fighting next to him made me a stronger warrior.
What are we supposed to do? Just forget about him like he never existed?
You remember what Jaden said?
And technically, I'm not a true samurai like all you are. I'm going after him.
But it's just not the same without Jaden.
Why aren't you practicing with her?
She's not Jaden.
I gotta find Jaden. Just worried about Jaden.
That's really ridiculous considering they all have grown up with this mission by their family that they have to follow the eldest of the Shiba clan and protect them so that they can take care of Master Xandred, but they seem to not care about that all of a sudden, and they just keep acting like they want to follow Jaden instead, and I think that's pretty dumb. Kevin does make a little bit of an effort to stay with her, but per Lauren's approval, she tells him to leave and look for Jaden because she knows he doesn't want to be there. Even through all that, all these people not really doing much to support her, she completes her lifelong mission, completes the seal, something that nobody, not a single ancestor of hers, could ever do successfully. She's the only one.
There can be only one.
They gloss over that a little bit too. She is the only one who finally perfects to the point that it would actually keep him away forever, but of course Master Xandred has a part of him that is now human, so the seal doesn't work. After the seal fails, it seems like she just has to leave because the Rangers don't want to support her, the Rangers don't want to follow her, they want to have Jaden.
Jaden said?
Jaden.
Even though she's proven to be the greatest Red Ranger in samurai history, they don't care. They'd rather have Jaden. It's crazy that she's honestly probably one of the most competent Red Rangers, but she's given the probably most incompetent team in Power Ranger history at this point. I think the Megaforce team is probably a better unit than the Samurai team, honestly. Lauren does get a pretty great storyline in Shattered Grid in the comics, which is really great to see that they brought her back because she is a really cool character. I would love to see her come back in some Power Ranger things in the future. I don't know if that will happen. Kimberly Crossman is a pretty successful person. When she entered her short stint for Power Rangers, she was just ending her Shortland Street run. If you don't know, Shortland Street is the most popular soap opera in New Zealand. Almost every New Zealand actor has been on the show at some point. A lot of people who are in Power Rangers or who are from New Zealand have been on Shortland Street. If not for a little bit, for a very long time. The longest running member, I think, of Shortland Street right now is Sally Martin, who played Tori in Ninja Storm. Kimberly Crossman was in 345 episodes, starting in 2007, ending in 2013. And right before that, in November 2012, she was in Power Rangers. Honestly, she'd be considered a pretty heavy hitter. I mean, being on a show that long gives you a lot of experience as an actor. Steven Skyler, who played Antonio, was in 1 short, 2 movies, and 3 shows. He was a Warbler in Glee. Besides Kimberly, he is the one who's had the most experience. Alexander Hartman, who played Jaden, was only in 2 episodes of a show. Erica Fong, who played Mia, was in 1 short. Hector David Jr., who played Mike, was a dancer in one movie, and then he was in a movie I think went straight to video. Najee, who played Kevin, was in nothing before Power Rangers at all. Brittany, who played Emily, was in 2 movies, and I think she was just an extra in both of those. It's funny how someone who's a smaller character has so much more experience than the people who are the showrunners. But this is the first season Saban took it back, and I think he just wanted to get back to inexperienced actors. If you've seen my video on Jungle Fury, you'll see that some of these casts, like the Jungle Fury cast, are really major actors at that point in their career when they took on Power Rangers. So it's interesting to see that when Saban took over, they went right back to taking people who really had no experience in acting compared to what they had before. Maybe these short characters are more experienced because they don't have time to get better. They just have to come in, be great for 5 episodes, and be done. Now, Kimberly Crossman did say that they told her to study Kill Bill for the fight scenes, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, since Power Rangers, Kimberly Crossman has gone on to study at the Groundlings, which is sort of a comedy school of sorts. A lot of people who are in Saturday Night Live or different sketch comedy groups went to the Groundlings. She's a beekeeper, and she grew up with a mom who taught ballet, and her dad was a teacher. She's done a lot of projects over the years. She was in a movie called Deathgasm starring Milo Cathorn, who was Ziggy in RPM. She was in a movie called Written in the Stars, which stars her falling in love with David D. Latour, RJ from Jungle Fury. Come on now. She started an online gifting platform in New Zealand. She's also an interview on an entertainment show in New Zealand where she interviews a lot of different people coming through doing press junkets. She's written a self-help book. She started a podcast in 2019 called Pretty Depressed with Kim Crossman. And I just discovered this. I listened to one episode and they were talking about infertility. It was really interesting. She seems to be very open about dealing with depression and anxiety. And I think that's really cool that she does that. She has stated in interviews that she knew coming into that role that she was the first Red Ranger who was really on the good team. And that was going to be very monumental for Power Rangers and sort of iconic. So she knew that there was a lot of pressure on her for it. But I think Lauren truly stuck out because Kimberly Crossman is such a great actress. She had so much experience. And I think the first female good Red Ranger really stuck out in this season. And I think that's a lot of people's biggest takeaway from Power Ranger Samurai. But it's really exciting to see where the franchise is going to end up and to see a female Red Ranger throughout the whole entire season.
Rip his face off, shove it down his throat!
Thank you guys. Have a great one. Bye.